located.
Is still tomorrow. 51 games tonight, 133 on Friday. Yesterday on the program, we talked about the 2015 Minnesota State High School League Hall of Fame class, which was announced this week. And the best football tie-in is Barry Wohler of Bird Island, Lake Lillian, who is remembered as one of the most versatile athletes in Minnesota history. He is just one of 3 Minnesota Prep athletes to be invited to all-star games in 3 different sports. Dave Winfield and Joe Mauer are the others. And he was a playmaking guard on back-to-back state basketball championship teams. He ended up playing pro baseball, signing with the Los Angeles Dodgers and advancing as far as AAA in Albuquerque during his 6-year career from 83 to 88. After that, Wohler coached boys basketball at several Minnesota colleges and high schools. He now teaches and coaches at Orono and led the Spartans to the Class 3A boys basketball championship in 2011. Week 3 of the high school football season means the debut of the state rankings. They're posted at our website, minnesotascores.net. In Class 6A, Eden Prairie is number 1. They're the defending champs, as is Mankato West in 5A, Becker in 4A, Rochester Lourdes in 3A, all ranked number 1. In 2A, Caledonia takes the top spot as defending champ Holdingford lost last week. They're nowhere to be found in this week's rankings. And defending champs Minneota in Class 1A and Grand Meadow in 9-man also are ranked number 1. In other news, 3 former U.S. Olympians headline the Minnesota State High School League's 2015 Hall of Fame class. But before Neil Broughton, Brianna Scurry, and Carrie Tollefson achieved success at the national and international levels, they left their marks in Minnesota State High School League athletic programs. Broughton was a hockey standout at Roseau High School before playing with Team USA and the Miracle on Ice in the 1980 Lake Placid Olympics. Scurry was a soccer goalkeeper for Anoka High School before leading Team USA to gold medals in the Olympics and the World Cup. And Tollefson was a 4-time cross-country state champion representing Dawson-Boyd-Lacoparo Valley. She was on the 2004 U.S. Olympic team as a middle distance runner, and 2 years later won the U.S. National Cross Country Championship. The others slated for induction during the league's 100-year anniversary celebration are Bird Island Lake Lillian 3-sports standout Barry Wohler, Minnesota soccer icon and SPA coaching legend Buzz Lagos, St. Cloud Cathedral baseball coach Bob Karn, Rocori boys basketball coach Bob Brink, Wilmer tennis coach and league contributor Hal Miller, 50-year officiating veteran Daryl Bozo Winsek of Crystal, and former one-act play director and speech and debate coach Michael Tillman of Owatonna, just to name a few. The Hall of Fame induction ceremony for this outstanding group is scheduled for Sunday, October 25th at 1 p.m. The league's Hall of Fame started in 1991, and this class of 2015 will be the 21st group inducted.
I like saving money. I mean, it's not like I have a purse stuffed with coupons or... Okay, I do. The other day, I went into Wells Fargo to get help with a car loan.
Good news. You qualify for our double discount promotion. Get double the interest rate discount we normally give on select new loans and lines of credit just for being a Wells Fargo checking package customer.
And the best part, I didn't even need a coupon.
Come to Wells Fargo to discuss how the double discount promotion can help with the interest rate on your new loan or line of credit. Wells Fargo. Together we'll go far. Subject to credit qualification. Wells Fargo Bank N.A. Equal housing lender.
If you happen to be that weekend warrior in the home trying to tackle those plumbing projects, swing by your local Hardware Hank and let us point you in the right direction. We'll introduce you to the Shark Bite connection system that makes any plumbing project fast and easy with their unique push-fit technology. The Shark Bite product works with your existing plumbing and can be rotated for easier installation in tight spaces. Let Hardware Hank help with all your plumbing needs.
You've got a lot more going for you with Hank, Hardware Hank.
It's time for our Hardware Hank Nuts and Bolts Athletes of the Week, which are selected every Tuesday based on your nominations to minnesotascores.net. Each week we select 2 winners, one from the Metro and one from Greater Minnesota. This is our first award of the 2015-16 sports season. Congratulations to our winners. From the Outstate, it's Justin Nelson from Northwoods Football. And from the Metro, it's Cole Henriksen from Farmington Football. The Wells Fargo Minnesota Sports Prep Update can be heard right here every Monday through Friday. And for more coverage, you can find us on the web at minnesotascores.net. That's minnesota-scores.net. I'm Ryan Phelps on Minnesota Sports Radio.
It's time for another round of live, local, play-by-play coverage of Southwest Metro Sports on PSB Media.
1-1, Middleton to Lieberman, and he scores! Pretty basic.
Watch the teamwork, tradition, and all-out competition unfold live on any streaming device.
Tries to center, and he does. 1-2 into the goal. Zog throws it deep, has a man. The catch is made, running down the sideline. 20-10. 5 touchdown, Eden Prairie. First play of the second.
PSB Media's coverage of tonight's game is brought to you by The Molt Store, Brandy Warmbier's State Farm Insurance Office, The Sun Current, Noodles and Company, Athlete PT, The Tavern on 4 and 5, and in partnership with Minnesota Football Magazine and BEC TV.
On the run, Bame able to finish with the offhand. Nice move by the senior.
Catch all of the action all season long on your home for Southwest Metro Sports. PSB Media.
Deflection in deep. Berger plays away from him to the left wing boards. That bounces off the skate. Turned over to Aguilar. Shot and save. Scores! Aguilar the shot. The rebound by.
Game time is coming up next.
Welcome to Hopkins High School. Kevin Ford, Brett Johnson with your coverage on PSB Media. You can watch us in HD by going to our website, www.psbmn.com, to watch this game here. Formerly a Lake Conference matchup, now a District West matchup between the Hopkins Royals and the top-ranked Eden Prairie Eagles, entering this contest 2-0 and just obliterating Edina last week, beating them 41-7, and really that 7 was just a kind of give me at the end of the game against this Eden Prairie third-string defense. So far, the defense supposed to be one of the best in the state, premier groups of 11 in the state of Minnesota, and they have really stepped up their game early on, not yet Labor Day weekend, and they seem already in mid-season form. Have not allowed a touchdown since prior to a lightning delay back in week 1, so that spans 6 quarters. Hopkins Royals enter the contest at 1-1. They have a very high-flying and talented offense led by their quarterback Oscar Johnson. Threw for over 300 yards last week, but they were unable to stave off the power run game of the Maple Grove Crimson. Isaac Collins rushed for nearly 200 yards, had 4 touchdowns, and they won in a slugfest over Hopkins 44-38. The Royals bring plenty of talent, but again, you know, the big question mark might be the defense, and as we know, if you're an Eden Prairie fan, the Eagles know how to run it out, grind it out, and pick up those victories, especially with strong second half performances like we've seen pretty much every game we've ever covered here on PSB. As Eden Prairie will kick it off to Hopkins, and they'll start right to left on their home field at their 20-yard line.
Yeah, coming up in a few minutes, we'll try to play you some excerpts of our sideline reporter Brian Whitey, who had a chance to speak with Eden Prairie head coach Mike Grant here during the pregame show. But yeah, looking forward to this game, Kevin. Hopkins is one of those teams that I kind of compared them to like the Northwestern of high school football, where they're a high-scoring team that, you know, every year seems to beat somebody they shouldn't. You know, much like Northwestern sometimes gives teams like Iowa or Wisconsin some trouble in the Big Ten.
Very good call out. 1st and 10 for Johnson. Shotgun formation. And we get a flag before the first play of the game can take place. This game is brought to you by Brandy Warmbier, State Farm Insurance Agent, as well as Tavern on 4 and 5. Specials on during happy hour, and of course try their cowboy burgers. That's one of my favorite dishes they have over there. Also fantastic pizza to try as well. That's the Tavern on 4 and 5. They're live streaming our games throughout the season. A quick slant pass is caught near the first down marker to the 29-yard line. Just a gun-slinging Johnson fit that one in there perfectly to Alex Bowers for a 9-yard pickup. Yeah, it's on the season 6 catches, 85 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Had a relatively quiet week last week. A couple other receivers we'll mention were the strong performers in that one. As a quick hitch to the near side will move the chains for the Hopkins Royals. That's caught by number 1, Henry Brock. That's his 3rd catch of the season. Goes for about 6.
If you'd like to email us throughout the broadcast, announcers at psbmn.com. Also click that link below your game tracker screen. Let us know where you're watching from, who you're cheering for. Love to hear from you throughout the broadcast this evening.
So 1st down and 10 from the 35. Again, this offense likes to play a little faster pace. Tip ball over the middle, knocked out of the sky by D1 Minnesota-bound Carter Coughlin at the 45-yard line. Johnson was trying to fit that one into some pretty tight coverage, going underneath, and a nice job dropping back defensively by the second tier of this Eagles defense, those linebackers. 2nd down and 10 now. Johnson 2 for 3, no rushes thus far. Early goings here from Hopkins High School as you're watching PSB. Again, go to our website for a higher definition broadcast, psbmn.com. Quick slant over the middle is caught. Tight coverage applied by Fung, but better accuracy right into the body just below the number to his intended target, Malik Lofton. And that'll be his first catch of the game. Had 2 receptions for 1 touchdown and 81 yards a week ago.
Yeah, you can see on the replay there, what a job to fit that into a very tight window as he had the defender all over his back. Great pass there by Hopkins.
Johnson calling out the play. Eden Prairie's linebackers backing off. 7 in the box. Quick hitter to the left side. Again finding Lofton as the corner was playing off Lofton. Just a comebacker to the 45-yard line. Not a big gain, but you always take 6 yards on 1st down. And it sets up 2nd and 4.
Yeah, what's very impressive so far about this drive is that going back to the lightning delay in the first game, this Eden Prairie defense, first-string defense, has not given up a single point.
Again, to Brett's point, not a single point in the last 6+ quarters. A couple years ago, Eden Prairie on their way to their 3rd consecutive title, beat their opponents by an average of 28 points. This year, with a 34-point victory and a 18-point victory, are kind of in that range. Last year, a few more close games. I think 4 were decided by 7 or less, as that pass was incomplete to the far side. Johnson 4 for 6 passing. Good coverage by the Eagles. A lot of these guys, though, battle-tested. Even though a couple of the games this season haven't been close, or returnees from that team that held on and just barely beat Tino Grace in the title game. A fumble will go for a 1st down as Johnson made his way up the field on a keeper, lost the football at about the 35, and it was, fortunately for Hopkins fans, recovered. Looked like by Jamichael Ellis.
Boy, that ball took a very fortunate bounce for Hopkins. You see on the replay that could have very easily bounced into the hands of Carter Coughlin, it looks like. But Royals able to recover, pick up a 1st down, and keep this drive alive.
There was a flag on the field, but it was waved off. Was that waved off by a decline, or was that just a false flag? I missed that.
Well, hopefully it wasn't a false flag operation, Kevin. Had to throw that little one-liner in there.
Johnson with Ellis alongside him in the backfield. Leading rusher for the Royals. 2nd leading rusher a season ago. Looking left. has his receiver juggled the ball. Does he hold on? Yes. And down at the 31, hit immediately by number 28 of the Eagles, Mark Ressman.
And you can watch the HD feed of tonight's game on psbmn.com. We're also on the High School Cube tonight, carrying our secondary feed, but you've got a little better picture quality if you go to our website, psbmn.com.
Follow us on Twitter at PSBMN. Over the top, just too tall for Lofton. It's a good timing route as Lofton had a little bit of space as the safety a bit late coming over the top, but still trying to throw into essentially double coverage. And threw behind and too tall for his intended target.
I still like what he did there. He put it where only his receiver could catch the ball. Johnson's been very impressive so far with his accuracy in this game. That was a very tough pass, and he at least, again, only put that in a position where his receiver could catch it, not in any place where it could possibly be intercepted in double coverage.
Huge bonus for Johnson is while he wasn't the starter last year, Tyler Lee was an excellent quarterback for the Royals that made a lot of people nervous, ended up losing in the crossover game to Lakeville North, a very talented team. But he got plenty of opportunity to play behind Lee, threw for about 800 yards and 5 touchdowns a season ago. Has that experience under his belt. The timeout called by the Royals. Live from Hopkins High School, you're watching PSB Media.
And we're joined by Rob Friend at the Mulch Store. Rob, a lot of people are finishing up those fall projects, whether it's trimming trees or getting rid of all those leaves. What can people do with those materials once they're done?
Well, they can bring their yard waste into any of our locations and dispose of it for a small fee. And after it's disposed of, we then process it and turn it into compost.
It's also a very easy, straightforward process to stop in at any of those Mulch Store locations, correct?
You just pull into any of the sites, you check in with the gate attendant and pay your small fee, and you're all set to go.
And if people would like more information about the great products and services the Mulch Store offers, what's your website?
mulchstoremn.com.
Out of the timeout, Hopkins with the football, 3rd down and 7 from Eden Prairie's 30-yard line. This drive started. Opening seconds of this game at Hopkins' own 20-yard line. So moving the ball well. Johnson over the middle as his man, a 1st down and more, tumbling inside the 20-yard line. The catch made by Henry Brotz.
What a drive put on here by Hopkins, a big conversion. He's got a great arm. I've been very impressed with him so far. Had a little extra zip on that ball to hit his receiver in stride and pick up that 1st down for the Royals.
Again, out of the shotgun, yet to see him under center. Handoff for the first time in this one. 2nd rush of the game. Johnson, remember, for the timeout, picked up a 1st down on a quarterback keeper. Ended up fumbling it forward. One of his teammates recovered. So Ellis carries it to basically back to the line of scrimmage. Call it gain of nothing. Averaging about 5.5 yards per carry so far this season. Johnson looking left. And fortunately it's off this camera, so maybe we'll set up the other camera over to that steep side. I apologize for that.
We'll use this camera when we're in this part of the red zone. So, Kevin, I know you're over there doing a little double duty. I think we'll stick with the primary camera, but if they pass over there, we'll switch to that secondary one.
Well,
actually, let's go with the secondary one right now.
Well, we can at least, why don't we just set up this one in the corner, and that way on a replay or something we can still capture it.
Okay. So this one's ready if we get to the corner.
So 3rd down and 10 for Johnson and the Royals. Again, looking that way left. And it looks like it's intercepted by the Eden Prairie Eagles. Cal Lundy getting his paws on that. And a nice job reading the design. And that was a little bit of a telegraph pass. Johnson looked left the whole way. He's been liking that left side of the defense on that entire drive. So nice work by the Eagles defense to come up big And Hopkins was deep into their own territory.
That's a real tough break there for Royals. Really well put together drive, but they can't come up with any points.
Now we have Jackson Zog and the Eden Prairie offense. Play action, short hops, Alec Hetherington. And we had Brian Whitey, our sideline reporter, talk to Coach Mike Grant before the start of this one. Do you have that all queued up, Brett?
Yeah, and if the video goes long, we'll just play the audio while you watch the live feeds. Let's go ahead and go to that now.
Pretty good on offense. What's kind of the plan this week to shut them down to prevent too many points?
Well, you got to, they scored a lot of big plays last week, so you got to limit their big plays, make them keep over and over and over again, so that we can get some, either a penalty or a sack. But they have big play guys, and we got to control.
Speaking of big plays, you got a couple big plays of your own, especially on the passing attack. Talk about your passing attack and maybe kind of using that a little more throughout the games.
Well, we only use it if we need it, honestly, because we make our hay with the running the ball. But they want to bring guys up and bring everyone in the box. We can throw the ball, and that's what we've done the last couple games.
All right, thanks, Coach.
All right.
Good luck tonight.
Thank you.
And that was Brian Whitey. What a chance to visit with Eden Prairie head coach Mike Grant as their offense off to a good start here with Alec Hetherington bulldozing his way down midfield.
Another huge gain. J.D. Spielman, first carry of the game, which you missed as we were watching the interview. Broke about 3 Hopkins ankle tackles, or attempts at ankle tackles, for 18-yard pickup. And right there from the 38, looks like to the 44, so another 18-yard gain, back-to-back 18-yard rushes for this EP offense. Another run, this time stymied right at the line. Falling forward was TJ Conrad, so we gained actually about 7 yards. Stymied is probably the incorrect usage of a word there.
We'll go with it. Nothing wrong with it.
Conrad is one of the starting backs to begin this season. Still maintaining that role, but some struggles as the ball is loose. Spielman and Zog appear to have fallen on it, and it is Zog who recovers his own fumble. He, 2 weeks ago against Tina Grace, had some ball security issues that went the other way.
And just looking at the replay here, that one looked like it was kind of on Zog. He just bobbled the snap, had trouble handling it, it looks like, and fortunately for the Eagles, they were able to recover.
Sets up 3rd down and 7, though. It was 2nd down and 3. Jackson Randall in the game. He was dropping back to pass, but a flag flew before the attempt. And it's a false start on the Eagles, so it was an excellent begin to their drive. Back-to-back 18-yard runs and a 7-yard pickup on 1st down. Now they've gone backward. What was 2nd and short, now 3rd down and long, 3rd and 12 from the 46-yard line of the Royals.
And this is the zone right here where you want to keep an eye on Kyle Connolly, the receiver for Eden Prairie, who's come up with a number of big plays so far this season. This could kind of be his territory to maybe come up with a big 1st down reception. I'm sure Hopkins well aware of that too. Wouldn't be surprised if they possibly have 2 guys on him, as Eden Prairie kind of going to a spread-looking offense.
Randall looking over the middle, has his man, a catch is made and more inside the Hopkins 25-yard line. That one pulled in by Ben Olson, the 6'3 senior. And his first catch of the season came at an opportune time.
A little hesitation he had a few yards downfield seemed to kind of flummox the Hopkins Royals defensively, froze them for a second, and is able to streak down the middle open and pick up a nice 1st down catch.
1st and 10 from the 23. A gain of 23 yards. Now Spielman into space. Scores! Eden Prairie on the scoreboard first as the senior made that one look easy.
As he's done so often this season, he's just a very shifty runner, great quickness. Just look at him on the replay here, the little flash move he made to get around the defender, very subtle, but that's a great move to blow through the defense, scores a touchdown. It's not quite, the Barry Sanders type deke that you see on some of those old NFL films videos, but a nice, very subtle kind of move, was able to get past the defense.
Yeah, good blocking up front as well. Get a flag before the extra point try by Antonio Montero.
Well, I'm kind of assuming if this one's on Eden Prairie, you and I have covered games for a few years now, and this kind of seems like we've seen a higher number of flags than we've normally seen out of an Eden Prairie team.
Yeah. Did have less time to...
That too.
Get into the swing of things here in 2015.
And even though, you'll look at it and say, well, it's the third game, they should be under their normal routine. That still can affect you down the stretch and affects all the teams down the stretch, where you only have those 2 weeks of preseason practice instead of 3 to kind of work out all those kinks.
Now Randall under center going for 2. Patience off the right side and plowing in. Hetherington converts the 2-point try. 8-0 is your score from Hopkins High School. Eden Prairie over the Royals.
Great food and great sports. It's the Tavern on 4 and 5 in Eden Prairie. This season, the Tavern on 4 and 5 will be showing PSB broadcasts of Eden Prairie football and hockey on their big screen TVs. So make it a night out. Get some great food while watching your Eden Prairie Eagles at the Tavern on 4 and 5. Some of their classics include the Mediterranean Pizza, Tavern Turkey Burger, as well as delicious breakfasts that are served 7 days a week. That's the Tavern on 4 and 5, just blocks from Eden Prairie High School.
Here from Hopkins High School, Kevin Ford, Brett Johnson with your coverage of Eden Prairie High School sports. The Eagles, their opening drive, take it 80 yards for a touchdown.
All right, I got the mic on. Test.
Yeah, let's go ahead and send things down to Brian Whitey, who's on the Eden Prairie sideline. Brian, what do you have for us?
Here you go, Brian. All right, down here on the field, so far pretty good for the Eagles. Defense, obviously a little frustrated with how quickly they got downfield, but I counted 6 coaches going up congratulating everyone, just making sure everyone's still in good mood, talking with them just about real fundamentals, not really getting into too specifics with anyone, or overall just talking with each player about the positions and where they need to go. Offense just came over here and said everything's working, and that was pretty much it.
All right, thank you, Brian. Again, sideline reporting on the far side of this field. Hopkins, a second opportunity to put their stamp on this game early on. Very close to doing so, but excellent defensive coverage in the moments that mattered, as Cal Lundy got an interception to stall what was a very progressive drive. Now, first down and 10 from the 30-yard line, goes for a gain of about 23 yards as the receiver, number 3, Dayon Campbell, makes the snag. So Oscar Johnson, despite the interception, remains confident, as he should, making a lot of good reads and strong throws in this one. Winds up and has another man for a quick hitter to the 39-yard line of Eden Prairie. That catch was made by Henry Brott, who's been far more active in this one than he has in either of the 2 contests to start this season.
I'll be interested to see their response here by Hopkins. Last week we saw kind of a similar story with Edina, where the Hornets had a couple of good drives, but they came away with no points, and it really seemed to take their wind out of their sails. Let's see if Hopkins is able to respond and keep that positive momentum they had going on that first drive up until that interception. Because obviously you can't get down on yourself when you're facing the 4-time defending champs.
Connor Novak Gore. Hopkins has only run the football twice, but he was prepared on that play. Beautiful read by the senior DT. He's in the backfield and pushes the Hopkins Royals back to a 3rd and long situation now, with a tackle for a loss of 3. So 3rd and 9 from the Eden Prairie 45. Hopkins wanting to convert here. Trailing 8-0. Sets up a quick hitter. Leaping try. Falls incomplete. Good effort there by Malik Lofton. The pass a little too high as Johnson was feeling the heat right up the A-gap and couldn't deliver an accurate pass.
Yeah, a little high there. One of the few inaccurate passes he's had so far, and even if they made the catch, defense was all over it to make the tackle.
How about this, Brett? Johnson already with 14 pass attempts.
That
Still
is
have
the
a couple
definition.
minutes left in the first quarter.
That's the definition of the spread offense.
Going for it on 4th down. The Eagles snuff it out. A sack in the backfield turns it over on downs. Making the play was Dan Anderson, the junior linebacker.
Yeah, he came through without a lot of resistance on that line as Eden Prairie elected to bring on some pressure with that blitz. Actually, just one blitzer. He was the only guy on the offensive line for Hopkins. Didn't pick it up. Big sack there to cause the turnover on downs.
Dan Anderson on the delayed blitz. He's had a fine start to 2015. Again, just a junior. Hetherington hit hard. It's like he was walking into the surf, going into the ocean. Got clipped by a couple of waves and ended up going down.
That's actually a good way to describe it, as he kind of ran into a wall and tried to fall backwards.
Gain of 2 for Hetherington. Had a fine performance last week. Career highs in touchdowns, 3, and rushing yards right around the century mark. Right now 2 carries for 20 yards in this one. Pitch out. Getting a nice block and fighting for the marker is number 5, TJ Conrad. He'll be a yard shy, a gain of 7. So Conrad showing better burst in this one. Had 10 carries for just 27 yards and a fumble lost. Or actually, just a fumble, wasn't lost. Coming into this contest, 2 carries for 14 yards now.
And you can tune into that HD feed on psbmn.com if you're watching on the High School Cube. Obviously, you can watch the game there, but we do have the HD version of the broadcast available on our website, so make sure you check that out, psbmn.com. Also, you can email us here in the broadcast booth. We're announcers at psbmn.com, announcers at psbmn.com. Already got our first email of the night, and it's from our good friend Jerome, who's tuning into the broadcast this evening. Thank you very much, Jerome. And, of course, if you'd like to email us, let us know who you're cheering for, where you're watching from, and maybe give us some updates on the Gophers versus TCU.
Thanks for watching, Jerome. A timeout called on the field by Eden Prairie, talking things over for this 3rd down and short. Now we'll take a quick break as you're watching PSB.
If you're enjoying tonight's football game from the comfort of your own home, why not go out next week and get some great food and also watch Eden Prairie football? The Tavern on 4 and 5 will be showing PSB's broadcasts of Eden Prairie football on the big screen, so check it out. It's the Tavern on 4 and 5.
Back to you.
Here from Hopkins High School, Kevin Ford, Brett Johnson with your coverage. Brought to you by the Tavern on 4 and 5, the Mulch Store, a key community resource for landscaping products and materials. Also, you can drop off your leaves at one of their locations as well. Randall off balance throw, wide open, and dropping it is the tight end, Witherspoon. 6 written all over that delayed pass. It kind of was awkward to start with. Somehow Witherspoon got wide open though. Started looking downfield before he secured it, and it falls incomplete.
And maybe you can correct me if I'm wrong here, Kevin, but it might be the first drop of the season I've seen this year by an Eden Prairie receiver or tight end. Can't really recall any so far this season.
It is. It's just the 2nd incomplete pass for the passing attack, as Hetherington goes over the top and converts 4th and short. Picked up exactly what he needed. So Jackson Randall seeing some playing time. Again, Zog fumbled that exchange kind of awkwardly, and now Randall's been in the game since. He led them to their first drive and touchdown. That 23-yard scamper by Spielman, who takes the ball again off the left side. Stiff arms one player, burns around him, still on his feet until he's sideswiped out of bounds at the 21. Another first down gainer for Spielman.
He's been very impressive so far. Hasn't had a whole ton of carries, but I like the way he's running the ball, and he's just so quick with his moves. You see on the replay, he can turn those 2-yard gains into 12-yard gains in a flash.
A gain of 12, as you just said. I didn't know if you overheard someone say 12.
I'm taking credit for that all the way.
Nice. Hand off to Obert. He got the start tonight, and he goes nowhere. Stuck in quicksand.
That kind of reminded me of, we used to play neighborhood football, and occasionally we were like 7 or 8 years old. We always played the big kids of like 12 or 13 and always try to tackle them by the legs, and couldn't bring them down all the time, so they ended up kind of in that quicksand like that. I don't know if you ever did that, where you always played the big kids in tackle football, and you had no other way to stop them but to go for the legs and the feet.
I just played friends that didn't play football, and then we'd play on the snowy ice, and I would break tackles because they would try to be hanging onto my foot as TJ Conrad busts loose for the end zone. A fine performance tonight, and he caps it off with another Eagles touchdown. 22-yard touchdown run for Conrad.
And another big run there as these runs of more than 10 yards are starting to pile up. And Conrad able to dance his way into the end zone and give Eden Prairie a 2-touchdown lead.
So that Witherspoon drop did not come back to bite anybody. Witherspoon may still be thinking about it, but I think everyone else has forgotten as Conrad puts the Eagles on the board some more. The extra point is good by Montero, 15-0. Eagles on top of Hopkins. You're watching PSB.
Stream your games in HD like the pros. Have a game you want streamed? PSB is here to help. PSB offers its HD streaming services to meet your request, whether you want one game, a tournament, or even an entire season's worth of games live streamed. Every broadcast features professional play-by-play announcers, instant replay, on-screen graphics, multiple camera angles, and much more. Plus, you can even make money from broadcasting. By having PSB stream your games, you create an opportunity to bring in additional revenue to your team or booster club. You can make money from pay-per-view broadcasts, DVD and digital download sales of the broadcasts, and even control of the advertising space on the broadcasts. So what are you waiting for? Get your team on air and stream in HD like the pros. Contact production at psbmn.com to get started today.
Here at Hopkins High School, Kevin Ford, Brett Johnson with your coverage of Eden Prairie sports. The Eagles convert on both their drives in the first quarter and have a 15-0 advantage. Hopkins takes a big hit there at the 27-yard line. Just popped. Didn't see the Eagles player who applied it. Just rebounded like he was on a trampoline.
That is, oh man. That is a big hit there. That's what happens when you don't see the defender coming. Yikes. That'll wake you up. And we have Brian Whitey standing by. Let's go ahead and get things over to him after this play, Kevin.
Okay. So the Hopkins Royals have moved the ball successfully against this Eagles defense, but, you know, if you're not playing fantasy football, yards really don't count for too much. I'm able to pick up a bunch of yards, but no points as of yet. And that pass goes incomplete, intended.
All right, down here on the field, defense was mainly just talking with the defensive linemen, making sure that they stay low, drive people back to try and get through that line. Offense, sort of the same thing, actually. They were talking about staying low, driving people back, making sure they're providing good protection. 86 with the drop there could have led to the touchdown. Coaches just coming up, supporting them, making sure they're saying, hey, we're going to come back to you. Be ready out there. Back up to you guys in the booth.
Thanks, Brian, for the report. Johnson tried to pump fake, but he clearly doesn't have the rhythm of a Ben Roethlisberger. Lost the football when he pumped and ends up taking the heat in the backfield, drop for a sack.
Yeah, that's not quite the way you drop those pump fakes, and kind of lost his grip on that one too.
Brings up 3rd down and 18. Johnson lobbing it over the top, and a miscommunication with his receiver Brott. So a 3-and-out forced by the Eagles defense, as maybe some adjustments have been made by Eden Prairie, and now Hopkins offensively is going to have to figure things out as well and switch some things up. Forced to punt, out to punt for Hopkins is senior Zach Savitz, and he gets this one away high, and it's caught on the fly by Spielman. Great open field tackle by the special teamers of the Royals to stop a very potent return man in Spielman right at the 50-yard line.
Yeah, good stop there made by the return team, because they need some way to get momentum back. And Kevin, this feels just like last week. Edina started off the game with 2 good drives, and then they got stymied on, well, pretty much the rest of the game. And this one kind of going the same way, where Hopkins had a couple of good drives going. They don't come away with any points. Eden Prairie's up by 2 touchdowns and on the verge of maybe putting this one away very early.
Zog back into the game. Hetherington with the tote. Gains a couple. He was hit immediately in on the stop. Number 72, Trayvon Pettigrew. Last year, it's a big difference maker on a team. They went 5-5 at 4.5 sacks and playing well this season as well. That'll conclude the first quarter from Hopkins. Eden Prairie on top of Hopkins, 15-0. Starting the second quarter, Zog looks over the middle, and the ball is caught by Kyle Connolly. Not sure how he came away with that one. Looked like maybe he got intercepted at first, lost his helmet, but secured the catch. A pickup of 12 yards. Wow, what an outstanding athlete Connolly is. Came in battling for quarterback, got moved to receiver, and has been dynamite there. Randy Moss, a la 1998. Huge gains, 4 catches for 224 yards and 2 touchdowns coming into tonight. Zog back in the game under center, hands off to the up back. Hetherington sidesteps one and falls forward to the 36, a gain of about 2.
And you can watch every Eden Prairie football game right here on PSB Media, psbmn.com. And if you're on the high school cube, check out our HD feed on psbmn.com as well.
Also online on our deals page, check out the Noodles coupons. Get a bowl and up to a $10 value. As J.D. Spielman into the open field again. No one's going to catch him, and he scores a touchdown. He's going to need some noodles after this. Burns all those calories.
Yeah, well, he either ate his noodles before the game to get those calories and carbohydrates in there, because somebody put a quarter in him with the types of runs he's had tonight.
38-yard touchdown run. All 4 of his carries tonight for at least 12 yards. And he is a man on a mission. Really, the last 2 games now. He's had, I think, 9 or 10 of the last 12 carries have been for at least 10 yards. Extra point, up, and it's good by Montero. Eden Prairie rolling early, 22-0. You're watching live local play-by-play on PSB.
Woohoo! This is the best dirt bath ever!
Larry, what's with all that racket?
I'm loving my new digs. This compost is amazing. Come on in, give it a try.
What are you talking about? Oh, yeah, you weren't kidding, Larry. This stuff is great.
The Mulch Store has compost your garden, and yes, even the worms will love. Stop by any of the Mulch Store locations in Burnsville, Minnetrista, Rosemount, and Shakopee to pick up the best compost in the Midwest. Online at mulchstoremn.com. Also shop rocks, seed, soil, edging, and more. Now's the time to make your neighbors green with envy.
Store locations in Burnsville, Minnetrista, Rosemount, and Shakopee.
Lights are on here from Hopkins High School, but are they on for the Hopkins Royals? We'll see as they're trailing 22-0.
Ouch.
Done some nice things on offense, but credit this Eden Prairie defense for making the plays when it counts. Obviously, on the flip side of things, the offense for Eden Prairie is rolling.
Yeah, I think you're kind of right to say that. I mean, they need to proverbial get their lights back on offensively. Those first 2 drives, especially the first one, they were marching the ball right down the field. But you look at the scoreboard, I mean, you're down by 3 touchdowns, but keep doing what you do offensively. You got to look at your previous games and know if you're a Royals fan or a Royals player that this team can put points on the board. You're not out of it yet, but got to get that offense back in gear.
The issue may be, though, that Johnson continues to look only at 1 or so receivers on each pass, doesn't look off his intended target. The coverage has gotten tighter. You see the press coverage there on a nice open field tackle by Ben Price. And then they're not running the football at all. And, you know, at this point, 22-0, you might see the running game even less. But just a couple carries for Ellis, who came in very successful running the football. Gain of 6 on that one to Brott.
And just to bring up that point, yeah, maybe looking to 1 receiver. That's something that obviously this very good coaching staff for Eden Prairie is going to pick up on, and maybe that's an adjustment they've made since that first drive.
Underneath quick hitter. Those quick hitters, those timing routes have been the bread and butter for this Hopkins offense. That one was beautifully executed on the underneath tailback coming out across the field. Jamichael Ellis moves the chains there, just what the Hopkins Royals needed.
Yeah, and that's what you need to do to try to confuse this defense, get some backs out of the backfield to pick up some passes. And, you know, force this defense to think a little bit. If you just drop back the pass and only have your 2 receivers and a tight end, that's very easy for a defense as talented as Eden Prairie to cover. Maybe try some misdirection, send some backs out of the backfield and make them think.
Also, those quick comebackers are working as well. It's real hard to defend that, especially with the arm strength of Johnson. Now going over the top, good coverage, and the pass is defended well by Ben Price. Coming back, second year as a varsity defensive back for these 4-time state champion Eagles.
Well, that's a pretty good pass thrown there by Johnson into very good coverage. Got to tip your hat to the defensive back on that one.
Second down or third down and 7. As Johnson pacing back behind the line. Has Ellis off to his left. 4 wide receivers set. Looks left, now throws middle, and the little holds. And there are flags. Arrestman got a hold of the intended target, Lofton, and that was the right call.
Yeah, he was just a little early on the contact, as you'll see on the replay. Just a split second too early. Trying to go in and make that tackle. An easy call for the officials.
But if you look at the coverage for the Eagles, I guess they did have one safety back behind. When I watched that real time, I was thinking they didn't have anybody left. So I thought that was a real good pass interference then, because he could have gotten by the defense. Apologize for that. That pass falls incomplete. Brings up 2nd down and 10 from the Eagles' 43-yard line. Got to tape the cords up on the table.
Mm-hmm. We're just making sure you're awake there listening at home.
Sorry about that. 9:20 to play in this 2nd quarter. Over the top, the
what a
catch is made. I don't know how. That's a pro-style throw going over the top of the linebackers in zone coverage and fitting that in right in front of the safeties. Beautiful pass there by Johnson.
What a job, too, not to fall to his knees the second he made that catch as well. That is a heck of a pass and catch by this Hopkins Royals offense.
24-yard pickup for Campbell.
They got to get in the end zone here. I think they'll be right back in this thing if they can score a touchdown.
Johnson looking left, just a little bit too far outside for Ellis. Pass attempt number 22 in this first half for Oscar Johnson. Quickly looking at the numbers I'm keeping. He's got about 14 completions on those 22 attempts, so right around his season numbers. Completes about 60%. I think right around 58% so far. 2nd and 10 from the Eagles' 23-yard line. Royals, with the exception of their last possession, been able to move the football against the Eagles, but still not coming away with any points. Here, a pass too low. Falls incomplete, intended for Alex Bowers. So a big 3rd down. Figure it's 4-down territory at this point as well. Can't really punt, and you can't get the kicker out there either, so pretty much a no-brainer. Quick hitters and the underneath passes have worked. Some of those over the tops as well, as we saw that beautiful touch pass moments ago to get them to the 23. Completed to Campbell. Johnson looking left over the middle, a wobbler, and it falls incomplete. Maybe Eden Prairie lineman got a piece of that one because it came out like a duck, and it was hard to catch for Lofton.
Well, here you go, 4th and 10. What do you draw up here for the Hopkins offense?
A pass play.
Thank you. I was going for the fullback handoff. Well, I was saying, I think this is one of those cases, though, in all seriousness, though, where you got to go all 5 receivers out and try to see if you can find an opening on that defensive coverage.
Looking left and miscommunication. Thought Lofton would cut back over the middle. Lofton had a lot of room with which to work, but he started drifting outside. Johnson threw inside, and the Royals turn it over again on downs.
So that's twice they've been deep in Eden Prairie territory and have not come up with any points. You almost have to play a perfect game to beat a team as talented as these Eagles, and there's too many chances here for the Royals that they have not been able to cash in on this evening.
Zog still under center. The handoff goes to Hetherington. Still on his feet as he plows his way near the 30-yard line. Nice second effort by number 44. Gain of about 7. 2nd down and 3. TJ Conrad with a burst of speed into space. Still on his feet. Running down the far sideline. One man to beat. And he's tackled at the 5-yard line.
Great run. And another long run by Eden Prairie. How many runs have they had so far of over 20 yards?
Probably 4 or 5 so far.
Exactly. And Brian Whitey standing by with a sideline report. Let's go ahead and send things down to him. Go ahead, Brian.
All right, defense, after that last one, again, they're mainly just talking about making sure they are pushing everyone back and getting the hands up. That's the main thing, especially with those quick slants. They're making sure you're putting the hands up, tipping the balls up so for some possible interceptions. Otherwise, as I said, they're making some great improvements out there. Back up to you guys.
Good report from Whitey as Hetherington finds pay dirt for the first time tonight. 5-yard run for number 44, his 6th touchdown of the season. And Eden Prairie's thinking route here tonight.
There they are, another touchdown for Eden Prairie. And, well, you know, we'll have seeing some reserves in tonight's game. This running game has been unstoppable for the Eagles.
You asked how many runs of 20-plus. There was 4 right on the numbers. But if you include 18-plus, then you can add 2 more, Brett.
Wow.
The extra point is no good, so the score will be 28-0 Eden Prairie. 3rd game of the season. They're looking like the...
Stream your games in HD like the pros. Have a game you want streamed? PSP is here to help. PSP offers its HD streaming services to meet your request, whether you want one game, a tournament, or even an entire season's worth of games live streamed. Every broadcast features professional play-by-play announcers, instant replay, on-screen graphics, multiple camera angles, and much more. Plus, you can even make money from broadcasting. By having PSP stream your games, you create an opportunity to bring in additional revenue to your team or booster club. You can make money from pay-per-view broadcasts, DVD and digital download sales of the broadcasts, and even control of the advertising space on the broadcasts. So what are you waiting for? Get your team on air and stream in HD like the pros. Contact production at pspmn.com to get started today.
28-0 the score as Montero kicks this one into the end zone for a touchback. Had quite a few of those. Very versatile kicker.
Yeah, Kevin, just going to give you a heads up. Our main camera is off, so I'm going to have you operate that secondary camera while we try to get our main one going here. And let's see if you were able to fix that on the fly. We'll stick with our secondary one here until I can get the main one working again.
So Johnson quickly back out on offense. He's thrown already 25 passes. Here behind his receiver, nice adjustment made by Bowers. Hard tackle out of bounds by Eden Prairie's Tommy Fuller, a defensive back, but it'll go for, looks like about 9 yards. Well, actually, they give him the first down, so 12 yards. Missed the spot on the field. So Bowers now with 3 catches in the game for 25. We back up with the main or secondary still?
We're still rolling with the secondary one.
Hand off to Ellis. Good to switch it up if you're a Royals fan. And Ellis falls ahead to the 35. Gain of 3 there. Last week had 2 touchdowns and 82 rushing yards on the season, averaging about 75 rushing yards a game, but seldom featured here tonight. Attempts versus rushes, it's 26 pass attempts versus 6 runs in the game. Intercepted by Fuller, taken back the other way. He's smelling end zone and he's going to score. Welcome to varsity football, Tommy Fuller. His first big play in his varsity career. The junior returns it for 6.
Yeah, another touchdown there for Eden Prairie. This one comes on the defensive side of the ball as they go up by 34 points.
I forgot that I was supposed to be on the secondary. I was operating the main camera.
We'll try to get that one going. We're down to 6:40 in the half. We may just roll with the secondary camera here until halftime until we can switch things up.
Well, I did a good job on the main camera capturing the interception, but then no one saw it.
Well, you did.
Well, yes.
Those are the case where if a tree falls and nobody hears it, did the tree fall?
It still did fall, because if I go into the woods, there's a felled tree. 35-0 following that 45-yard interception return by Fuller. You're watching high school sports.
And we're joined by Rob Friend at the mulch store. Rob, a lot of people are finishing up those fall projects, whether it's trimming trees or getting rid of all those leaves. What can people do with those materials once they're done?
Well, they can bring their yard waste into any of our locations and dispose of it for a small fee. And after it's disposed of, we then process it and turn it into compost.
It's also a very easy, straightforward process to stop in at any of those mulch store locations, correct?
You just pull into any of the sites, you check in with the gate attendant and pay your small fee, and you're all set to go.
And if people would like more information about the great products and services the mulch store offers, what's your website?
mulchstoremn.com.
Following the touchdown return by Fuller. Seeing some extra playing time tonight as a junior defensive back. Eden Prairie has a 35-0 advantage with about 6.5 still to play in this second quarter. The top-ranked Eagles have been dominant to start 2015, but I would say few here in the stands tonight. Those fans expected this score this early on. And given the Hopkins Royals offense, the propensity they have to score, put up 38 last week against a talented and pretty defensive-minded Maple Grove team who thought it might be a shootout, but instead it's just one-sided. Johnson, the handoff to Ellis, and he's swallowed up by that front four. Dylan Warner, among others, in on the stop.
I don't think a lot of people are surprised that maybe Eden Prairie's put up 35 points at this juncture of the game. I think they're more surprised that Hopkins has still been shut out. How high scoring they've been so far this season.
Catch by Bowers, but just for 2 yards. Fung all over that play, along with, looks like Carter Coughlin from his linebacking position, showing his quickness.
Bruce McNeil has sent us an email. He's at the EP Egan soccer game. By the way, the Eagles are up 1-0 on a goal by McNeil, one of Scott's last years playing on the team, and one of his younger brothers scored that goal for the soccer team.
Nice. Nearly intercepted by Spielman as that throw low and behind the intended target, number 3, Dayon Campbell, who's got a couple big catches tonight. But unable to haul that one in, and Hopkins 3 and out again. Forced to punt and give this high-octane Eden Prairie offense the football again. First, they've got to deal with the return man, Spielman. High punt. Kick to the far sideline. Spielman dances, slips one tackler, and steps out of bounds at the 37.
By the way, over at that soccer game, they're passing along the score to all the other fans that are watching, so kind of cool to get the crossover games going right now. And
we're
so
covering
far
a soccer game too, right?
We do have one, yeah. Later on, I think we're doing the Jefferson Eden Prairie boys soccer game. Of course, you can watch that game right here on PSB Media.
Jackson Randall getting some playing time. Also new ball carrier. That's Carlos Williams, his first carry of the season. So already getting some reserves into this contest is Mike Grant.
Yeah, midway through the second quarter already getting those guys in there. A chance to get some of those guys some playing time. Eden Prairie, one of those squads that does not do any cuts. So if you play on that varsity team and are a junior or senior.
Wide open Witherspoon. They dialed up a play for the guy who dropped it before, and he scores yet another Eagles touchdown. Beautiful play action, bootleg to the near side, and Randall to Witherspoon to make it 41-0.
Well, that's what you call redemption. That'll make up for that drop.
33-yard touchdown pass, first of Jackson Randall's career, first catch in his high school career for Witherspoon. The extra point attempt is good, and it's 42-0 Eden Prairie over Hopkins. Going to see third and fourth stringers here pretty soon for Eden Prairie as you're watching PSB.
The Sun Current is proud to be your community news leader for over 50 years. Each week you can read their in-depth coverage on local government, school district news, high school sports matchups, community events, and newsmakers. The Sun Current's website is now mobile user-friendly and provides breaking local news coverage daily. Check it out at current.mnsun.com.
Brett, what else can you say as you're watching PSB? Go to psbmn.com for the HD version.
Well, technically not HD right now until they get our primary camera back up during halftime, but still good video as we'll get things down to Brian Whitey, our sideline reporter. I think he has some sideline reaction from Eden Prairie after that big touchdown reception from the guy who just dropped that pass. And let's go ahead and send things down to Brian now.
All smiles down here on the sidelines for the Eden Prairie offense. Obviously a lot of congratulations to 86 who dropped the pass earlier, and so right now coaches all came up, gave him high five, and players really having some fun with him too. Again, the message down here from the coaches, everything is working. Back up to you guys.
Thanks, Brian, and really not much else you can say. It's
I was going to say that pretty much sums it up. Yeah.
Succinctly put, everything is working for the Eden Prairie Eagles here tonight. Up 42-0. And as you called it out, Brett, great redemption story for Witherspoon. And that's what you do, and that's what good coaches do, and I'm glad that they gave Witherspoon another opportunity. As somehow unable to take down the runner into the wide open is Lofton, and he's going to score the first Hopkins touchdown. Able to bust loose from basically a scrum at the 25-yard line, somehow sneaking his way through, and was off to the races for 6.
Yeah, escape from a scrum. That's like one of those old video games where you play where you put on the no tackling cheat code. It's about what it looked like, is somehow got through that scrum, broke it through, and a play that Hopkins certainly needed. And I think their offense kind of deserved it with how often they've been on the Eden Prairie side of the field. Good to see them finally get some points on the board and at least get rewarded for their efforts, because yardage-wise, well, they put up some pretty good numbers.
Yeah, everything working was, I guess, said a bit too premature, or maybe Lofton wanted me to sound ironic. 80-yard touchdown run by a wide receiver, his first carry of this season, and the athlete finally gets the Royals on the board. It's 42-7 on PSB.
And we're joined by Rob Friend at the mulch store. Rob, a lot of people are finishing up those fall projects, whether it's trimming trees or getting rid of all those leaves. What can people do with those materials once they're done?
Well, they can bring their yard waste into any of our locations and dispose of it for a small fee. And after it's disposed of, we then process it and turn it into compost.
It's also a very easy, straightforward process to stop in at any of those mulch store locations, correct?
You just pull into any of the sites, you check in with the gate attendant, and pay your small fee, and you're all set to go.
And if people would like more information about the great products and services the mulch store offers, what's your website?
mulchstoremn.com.
Welcome back to Hopkins High School. A long touchdown run from Malik Lofton to finally get this Hopkins Royals offense, in positive territory. 80-yard touchdown run makes it 42-7. And Brian is down on the sideline with a player and coach reaction.
You're good to go, Brian. Oh, looks like we don't have Brian ready, so we'll just go ahead and keep it here, Kevin.
I see him pacing. Maybe we lost the connection, huh?
My mistake, I was looking at your old text.
Tricky bounce, and Burns has to field it inside his 10. Runs it out to the near side, still on his feet, going all the way across the plane, and pushed out at the 27. A return of about 20 yards for Jamar Burns.
Well, what do you say, Kevin? We go ahead and maybe try to find some out-of-town scores, see what's going on elsewhere around Stateland. I know there's, 40 games overall is what I heard was taking place tonight. The majority are tomorrow, including a broadcast we'll have on PSB, Jefferson versus Holy Angels, if you want to tune into that one and maybe catch a high school football doubleheader.
And off goes again to Williams. Squeezes through a couple of tacklers and gains 4.
Let's go ahead and send things down to Brian. I believe he's standing by with a report. Yeah, try again, Brian. You're good to go. Oh, looks like we don't have him.
Looks like he's playing with the mic. I like my play-by-play of our sideline reporting.
There we go.
Players getting out of their crouches now. Not sure what, maybe a clock issue going on. That's what they want. 2nd down and 5, the down and distance, and they added 18 seconds back to the clock. Brett Hopkins is going to need those 18 seconds.
Yep, they will. It's a long road to come back from a 35-point deficit. But hey, how many points have they been averaging this season? It's been well over 40, hasn't it been?
No, but well over 30.
Well, I think they scored 49 on Coon Rapids, and what did they get, 34 against Maple Grove?
42 and 36, not too far,
so
but the average is 39.
I was a little more optimistic.
And if they were at 40, that wouldn't be well over 40 either. So I still had to call you out.
Well, it depends on your definition. 41 could be well over 40.
No, it can't. Email us and tell us Brett is wrong, please.
Well, what if you're talking about 40 versus 42? If you're into 41, that's well over 40.
But we're not governing it at 42.
Just playing devil's advocate here.
Williams with the 4-yard gain sets up 3rd down and about 1.5 yards. Another carry for Williams, has some space, spins around, moves the chains, and finishes at about the 40-yard line. Gain of 5. So already 4 carries for Carlos. J.D. Spielman was dynamite. 4 rushes for 91 yards and 2 touchdowns. Came in with 19 carries for 120 and a touchdown. Majority of that damage taking place last week. Had 2 touchdown runs of at least 30 yards. One of them, though, called back on a holding call. The other one, last touchdown of the game for Eden Prairie of 35 yards. Hetherington moves the chains from the 40 to the Hopkins 45, a pickup of 15. So Mike Grant still playing some of his starters here intermittently. We'll keep them all fresh.
Yeah, it's a little early to do that in the second quarter, even in the latter part of it. You still want to give your starters at least some game time to keep them fresh for the subsequent weeks, but I'm sure the second we get into the third quarter, we're going to see the benches for both sides likely empty quite a bit.
Nolan Emerson swallowed up Thomas Swartout, who had 2 touchdown carries last season, his first total of the season tonight. And he's dropped in the backfield for a 3-yard loss.
We'll have next week's broadcast of Eden Prairie football right here on PSB. First game to take place after school starts. Doesn't seem right to play 3 games before the start of school, but that's the case for Eden Prairie, and unfortunately kind of the case for a lot of schools in Minnesota with the early start. We'll have Maple Grove versus EP next week right here on PSB. Should be a good matchup and a rematch of last year's state semifinal, which went right down to the wire.
Can I make a lame joke and say
all right,
all the Eden Prairie games are going to be before I'm back in school?
Well, now you're not making any sense.
I'm not in school, so they're all before I'm back in school.
How can you go back to school if you're not planning to go to school?
Well, I could. There's always an option.
Well, now you're talking
right?
hypotheticals.
Yeah, hypotheticals work.
We're having some really lame debates here on this broadcast.
We are. Generally, when I get started, it's terrible content.
Shouldn't we at least be debating world issues, or who's going to win TCU versus Minnesota, or something more substantive instead of when you're...
Well, do you really think the Gophers are going to beat TCU?
I don't know. I've heard some people say TCU might be overrated this year, but they're still very, very talented.
Pretty much all their offense.
Yeah.
Their defense was not outstanding.
That would be one tall task to knock them off, even if it's at home.
A fake reverse. Williams with the carry. Dragged down again by Emerson. Pumps his fist, slaps them together. And check that, it wasn't Emerson, it was Andy Awney. He was the team's leading tackler last season. And has had a nice showing of it so far this year as well.
I like the
really
reverse.
Fly.
I like the reverse, though. The fake reverse had me fooled, so lucky I wasn't running camera there. But I've seen them do that a few times this season where they will run those fake reverses.
Williams, ball comes loose, but Williams was called down. Running right off that right guard. Good pull, again, by this Eden Prairie offensive line. Sets up 3rd down, I believe, or 4th down, check that, and 2. So an 8-yard gain for Williams inside the final minute of the first half. Eden Prairie on top of Hopkins 42-7. Letting the clock run. The Eagles do have 2 timeouts, but up by a bunch. Carter Coughlin takes this one off the left side. Check that. It's number 32, Obert, and he finds his way to the end zone for 6. Great blocking out in front of him. He was untouched for 35 yards.
Yeah, good burst of speed, and this time they do execute the reverse after faking it a few plays ago, and they score the touchdown, and this offense is most certainly clicking on all cylinders.
They didn't even need to take the time out to preserve the time. Obert just decided to score from 37 yards out. Extra point try is good. 49-7. Eden Prairie up on Hopkins. You're watching PSB.
I really loved this book. Me too. What was your favorite part? The beginning? The beginning was good. Did anyone actually read the book?
I really like this wine.
You don't need a book club to drink wine with friends. Great wine and globally inspired food at Noodles & Company, your world kitchen.
Eden Prairie is doing everything right, just one scrum mess up and didn't tackle the running back. Malik Lofton allowed an 80-yard scamper, otherwise they've stuffed what's a very good Hopkins offense and had their way on the other end offensively. Just big run after big run, a couple big pass plays mixed in route to this 49-7 advantage even before halftime.
So with 33 seconds left, it's a dominant effort here by the Eagles. But one positive you want to look at if you're Hopkins is that, well, you've been the only team since the lightning break of week 1 to score any points against this first-string defense.
Yeah. Awesome.
I mean, you need to take what you can get when you're down 49-7.
I would agree with that one.
Mm-hmm. But even to that point, though, they had a lot of yardage in this game. They just, those first 2 drives of the game really kind of took the wind out of their sails when they weren't able to score.
Deep pass intercepted. Returning it the other way, Cal Lundy. He's going to score. Raises the football up in jubilation. His first pick 6 of the season makes it 55-7.
And Cal Lundy with the interception. Gonna feel good for him. Defensive guys always have that as their dream when they can score a touchdown. Doesn't happen very often, and Lundy gallops into the end zone. 55 points so far in the half for this Eden Prairie Eagles squad. Very impressive.
Lundy is third interception of the season, first touchdown. Also has a couple of passes defended. Outstanding defensive back for these Eagles. The extra point try is good, and Eden Prairie, not using any timeouts, have scored 14 points in 11 seconds. Pretty good work here from Hopkins High School. Kevin Ford, Brett Johnson with your coverage. We'll come back after this.
And we're joined by Rob Friend at the Mulch Store. Rob, a lot of people are finishing up those fall projects, whether it's trimming trees or getting rid of all those leaves. What can people do with those materials once they're done?
Well, they can bring their yard waste into any of our locations and dispose of it for a small fee. And after it's disposed of, we then process it and turn it into compost.
It's also a very easy, straightforward process to stop in at any of those Mulch Store locations, correct?
You just pull into any of the sites, you check in with the gate attendant and pay your small fee, and you're all set to go.
And if people would like more information about the great products and services the Mulch Store offers, what's your website?
mulchstoremn.com.
Kickoff this time, not a touchback. Just about everyone so far tonight for Montero has been, and works out even better for Eden Prairie as the return man can't bring it out to the 20. Stopped at a 12-yard line. Great coverage by Eden Prairie, and I know it's not changing the outcome of this game and really didn't impact game 1 or 2, but you got to really like the versatility Montero brings to the kicking game. He's got that amazing squibber. He can put the side spin on and recover onside kicks pretty much on a whim. And then he also can kick it, through the end zone consistently as well. Brett, nothing?
Nothing right now. I am speechless.
Handoff goes to Ellis. Ducks under a tackle. Nice job moving underneath Carter Coughlin. Made the D1 athlete look a little silly in his pursuits, and that'll end the first half. It's been a forgettable performance for Hopkins, a memorable one for Eden Prairie. 56-7 at the break. You're watching PSB.
Well, actually, Kevin, just before the half, let's actually send things down to Brian, who's got a report. Go ahead, Brian.
All right, all smiles down here on the Eden Prairie sideline for both offense and defense. Obviously, with a 56-7 score at halftime, things are going right, and that's been the main thing from the Eden Prairie offensive coaches, is that everything is working. They're just telling them, don't let it now. You just got to keep going. That's the same thing on
Defense is that they got to keep it going. Back up to you guys in the booth.
So with that, after Brian's words from the sideline, thank you, Brian, we go to our halftime break on PSB. 56-7 Eden Prairie over Hopkins.
Well, sir, after some serious consideration, I'd like to put in my 15-year notice.
You're quitting?
Technically retiring, sir. With a little help from my State Farm agent, I plan to retire in 15 years.
Wow, you're totally blindsiding me here. Who's going to manage your accounts? This is a devastating blow I was not prepared for.
Well, I'm going to finish packing my things. 15 years will really sneak up on you.
Jennifer will do your exit interview, and Adam made you a cake.
Red velvet.
Oh, thank you.
I made this.
Take charge of your retirement. Talk to a State Farm agent today.
Shop and save with Brandy Warmbier's State Farm Insurance Office in Eden Prairie, a local connection at a lower cost. BrandyWarmbier.com. If you're enjoying tonight's football game from the comfort of your own home, why not go out next week and get some great food and also watch Eden Prairie football? The Tavern on 4 and 5 will be showing PSB's broadcasts of Eden Prairie football on the big screen, so check it out. It's the Tavern on 4 and 5.
Woohoo! This is the best dead bath ever!
Larry, what's with all that racket?
I'm loving my new digs. This compost is amazing. Come on in, give it a try.
What are you talking about? Oh, yeah. You weren't kidding, Larry. This stuff is great.
The Mulch Store has compost your garden, and yes, even the worms will love. Stop by any of the Mulch Store locations in Burnsville, Minnetrista, Rosemount, and Shakopee to pick up the best compost in the Midwest. Online at mulchstoremn.com. Also shop rocks, seed, soil, edging, and more. Now's the time to make your neighbors green with envy.
Store locations in Burnsville, Minnetrista, Rosemount, and Shakopee.
Stream your games in HD like the pros. Have a game you want streamed? PSB is here to help. PSB offers its HD streaming services to meet your request, whether you want one game, a tournament, or even an entire season's worth of games live streamed. Every broadcast features professional play-by-play announcers, instant replay, on-screen graphics, multiple camera angles, and much more. Plus, you can even make money from broadcasting. By having PSB stream your games, you create an opportunity to bring in additional revenue to your team or booster club. You can make money from pay-per-view broadcasts, DVD and digital download sales of the broadcasts, and even control of the advertising space on the broadcasts. So what are you waiting for? Get your team on air and stream in HD like the pros. Contact production at psbmn.com to get started today.
There comes a time when even an all-star assistant can use some assistance himself.
Do I need to be worried about identity theft? Everybody does. So that's when somebody tries to use my name? My likeness? Yes, sir. Like if they try to look like me, but with a fake mustache? Yep. And glasses? Yes, exactly. I think I'm gonna need some help with that.
When assisting is in your blood, you know it.
Dudes, been a couple of A-plus roommates, and I hate to do this because you guys have been cool with everything. You're cool with my band. You're cool with that English accent phase, remember that?
We're literally out to milk.
And that theater troupe.
Hey, could you give me a second, please?
But State Farm's helped me be really smart with my money, and I got my own pet now. Oh, no big deal. Mom, Dad, my new place doesn't allow pets. Dylan's gonna have to stay here. One love, Pops.
Start out right in life. With everything from renter's insurance to your first bank account, State Farm is there.
Shop and save with Brandy Warmbier's State Farm Insurance Office in Eden Prairie. A local connection at a lower cost. BrandyWarmbier.com.
During this break in the action, I'd like to thank you for watching and ask for your assistance. In addition to live streaming games like this one, PSB Media also produces video commercials for clients. If someone you know is trying to grow their business, tell them to consider contacting production at psbmn.com. The internet is a powerful marketing tool, but due to its size, it can be difficult for messages to reach the right ears. Optimize their valuable time and money. PSB Video will help drive localized traffic to the client's website. Using keyword-driven content, PSB Video can improve where businesses appear in search results. Nearer to the top results means more clicks and more business. So please, tell those business owners you know to work smarter, not harder, by considering PSB Production. Find out more by emailing production@psbmn.com.